What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. My name, I'm pretty sure, is David Barnett. That is Pat Perry with me, and we are the Tour Junkies. And we just got done recording our Monday night late Waste Management Phoenix Open podcast preview on the Tour Junkies.
It is the Wasted Management Open.
True. So we've checked that box. You know what I mean? And it's very late, and we're tired, and there is an unnamed, unbranded, no free ads vodka in my cup.
I'm drinking rosé, as I typically like to do on the After Dark show.
So
Switch
embarrassing.
to rosé.
Like, even every week, it's not surprising, but it's still embarrassing every week that you do that. Oh, okay.
Oh,
well,
wait,
we're ready.
I can't do that on this show.
I don't think we're supposed to do that on here.
They can beep that out though.
They can probably censor that. Yeah. Anyway,
Shout
we're here to talk about the Waste Management Phoenix Open 2020 years after our Lord and Savior. It's TPC Scottsdale in lovely Scottsdale, Arizona. The weather looks beautiful all week. No rain, very little wind. Should see some firm and fast conditions here for TPC Scottsdale. Pat, before we get into a few points of contention, a few disagreements that we had on the podcast, and we're going to talk about our favorite plays over on DK Sportsbook. Before we do all that, tell the listeners, tell the viewers what they need to know about TPC Scottsdale.
Yeah, just a quick review here at TPC Scottsdale. It's playing as a par 71, just over 7,200 yards. You got Bermuda grass from tee to green. One thing I think that is important is they do typically overseed these greens with a little mix of bent grass and POA, which I think it typically makes it putt a little more like bent grass greens. It's going to be running quick, about 12 on the stimp meter, but very true, not like you see with POA grass like we saw last week. It's kind of bumpy and things like that. You got 132 players in the field this week. It's one course, finally, just one course. Cut at T65 and ties. You got 3 par 5s that all are pretty gettable if you got a little bit of length. They're at playing 560 to 575 yards. 6 of the 11 par 4s on this course play over 450 yards, and as a matter of fact, closer to that 500 yard range, which is one reason where I think length does. I say one reason. That's another reason that length does play an advantage on this course. But altitude's a factor as well. We got a little altitude here in Arizona, so even some of your shorter hitters get a little bit more distance out of their off the tee and things like that. So it's a great course. We typically see scoring between 15 and 18 under. So these guys can score on this course. Weather's looking good right now. As always, course history and recent form are something I'm looking at. But also, I'm definitely looking at your guys' strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach. That's going to be important to me as well. So we'll see what happens, but should be a good event. It's just crazy this week. This is one of those events that it's, they throw the golf reverency out the window. You just can be wild and raucous. The crowd's crazy. That could play a factor with some of these guys. If you can't handle the crowds, if you can't handle the kitchen, if the kitchen's hot, and you can't handle it, just get on out.
Yeah, I think it's if you can't handle the heat or something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. You got grown men dressing up like Big Bird, getting hammered. You got ASU co-eds strutting around like peacocks. It is definitely an interesting event on the PGA Tour. It's fun to watch, and there are definitely certain guys that I think enjoy it more so than others. There are certain guys who I think would love to stick around all 4 days, and certain guys that probably just, they can take it or leave it. Obviously, if you show up, you want to make the cut, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think
a lot of good players in this field, though.
And, good field. I do think one thing that you leave out is the altitude at which we play at. This is about 1,200 feet above sea level.
I just said that a minute ago.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Yeah, I did. You tuned out.
Okay. Yeah, I totally tuned out.
Check the tape. The
ball goes a little further here. Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking at distance. I'm looking at strokes gained approach, greens and regulation. Looking at guys who've putted well here in the past. These are unique green surfaces, so I did look at strictly really who's performed well here in the past. It's middle of the road in terms of difficulty. I could see the winning score being somewhere in that 15 to 17 under range. Your cut has been anywhere between even and +2 over years past. So, yeah.
David totally checked out the whole entire time I was talking about the course. Because you just repeated like half of what I said. Anyway,
all right, well, screw that.
On.
All right, well, then you start. Who do you disagree with on the podcast?
Yeah, here's where I disagree with you. And it's because you just...
Oh, I'm stressed out.
This is where I get frustrated with people like you. Yeah. Because you can't stand a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, so you just go on and on and on and on and on. I hate Bryson DeChambeau. I'm going to make fun of him every single week, and he can't play good on this course, and blah, 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 blah. But guess what? Bryson DeChambeau has played out here one time, finished 5th. This is a good course for Bryson DeChambeau. He's at 9,100, so we're getting him at a pretty cheap price tag for a guy of his caliber of golfer, which is world class. You may disagree with that, but he is a world-class golfer. He is top 10 in the field in driving distance, which I mentioned is going to be important this week. I think DeChambeau is in line to have a great week, and you just want to fade him because you hate him. It's like no other reason. I don't care what anything else says to me, but I don't like the guy, so I'm going to fade him.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't like him. He makes it easy to fade, but honestly, I mean, yeah, he did play well here his first time out. But recent form is not very good. Okay, he did finish 8th at the Omega Dubai Desert Classic last week.
Yeah, after getting on the clock.
Where freaking Lucas Herbert won. Like, give me a freaking break. A European Tour event right at the Dubai Desert Classic is not a stupendous field by any means. He shot a 76 on the final round.
He was 15th at the Hero Classic with 30 guys in the field.
You are an idiot. You said that on the podcast. There are not 30 guys at the Hero. There are 17. He finished 2 away from DFL. So don't give me that. Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so in his last, if you include the Hero, in his last 10 rounds of golf, twice has he broken 70 in his last 10 rounds of golf. But yeah, I mean, I'm hitting it so far. I'm the best. I can smash it. But he can't do anything else. I'm not buying it for DeChambeau. And listen, we said this on the podcast. The $9,000 range and up to Jon Rahm is a pretty good range. I think it's very well priced. I think it's very evenly priced. There are not a whole lot of names on here that I think, ooh, that's a really good value, or ooh, they're really undervaluing him or overvaluing him. I don't really think that. So if I've got to fade a guy in this range, to me, he's traveling. I mean, so it's Dubai. He's traveling back over here. He's adjusting. It's a wild week. I don't know. I mean, I don't. If I got to fade somebody, that's who it is. So there you go. You faded a guy.
The cables coming out of your ears.
I know,
so
man. My
weird.
Bluetooth, my AirPods aren't working. My AirPods aren't working tonight. But you faded a guy
so
that
funny.
I don't really understand. You faded Matt Kuchar, who was $9,400.
Yes.
Now, we talked about these greens being unique, and they are unique. They're on paper they're Bermuda, but really there's a lot of bent grass in here. They're not super grainy. If you look at the last 5 years, the 10th best putter at TPC Scottsdale over the last 5 years, Mr. Matthew Kuchar. He's got incredible recent history here. Finished 4th last year, 5th the year before, 9th the year before that. You're a course history guy. Like, I can't even believe you're doing this right now. But 9,400, like, wow, it's a great value. I don't understand the fade on Kuchar.
No, I don't like it.
I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the wires all over your head. But look, I mean, he's not been in great form. I mean, you look at his last 4 events, and you really could throw out the Tournament of Champions where he was 14th out of 30 people. He was 14th at the Hero out of 17, as you mentioned. So that's bad. He missed the cut at the RS. So his last 2 full field events, let's just go to that. Look at that. The Sony Open and the RSM Classic in Sea Island, he missed the cut. So hasn't been in great form. He's at 9,400. He's a guy that everybody loves to play. I'm fine with the course history there, but let's just go to the stats. All right, so screw the course history here. He is 109th in the field in ball striking, which I think this is a ball striker's course. He is 116th in strokes. 116th in strokes gained off the tee, which you mentioned on the podcast. Don't argue with me. You mentioned that as one of your favorite stats this week. He is 116th in this field. There's 132 guys in this field, by the way. It's a little bit less than we've seen lately. He is 75th in strokes gained approach, 123rd in driving distance. I just don't think that things are matching up very good for Kuchar to do well and to outpace the value. Yeah. At 9,400, I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I think everybody's going to play him. We know he's always high owned. Whenever he's in the field, everybody loves some Kuch, and I'm against him. Hate him.
Well,
No
there's so many.
Kuch.
There's so many good names here. Obviously, I think ownership will be relatively diluted. But yeah.
But I do like a lot of the guys over 9K. It's hard to take 9K and above. Is hard to fade a guy because I like a lot of those guys. But if you got to plant your flag somewhere, I think Kuchar's the guy to fade this week. And also DeChambeau. Just kidding. I like DeChambeau. He's my fan. I'm a fan.
All right. You got anybody else?
I do not.
I do think Hovland. We had a little debate about Hovland. I am anti-Hovland. I think a lot of people are they love playing Hovland. The entire fall swing, everybody was so excited to play the kid. He's so nice looking. He just seems like the nicest young man in the world.
Kid.
Yeah, you just want to play him because you like him. You trust him alone with your wife or girlfriend. He just seems like a lovely lad, and I like him. I hope he plays well. I don't think he's as good as Colin Morikawa. I think he's a good player. He's just played overseas a couple of events, and I mean, He's got a little. He left a little on the table. I mean, his last 6 rounds, he's had nothing in the 70s. In his first event as a PGA Tour professional at the Greenbrier in September, he finished 10th, which is a glorified Korn Ferry Tour event. He hasn't topped 25 since then until last week, where he finished 23rd, I think, at the Dubai, another that horrible event over there where no great players other than anybody play in that thing. So everybody loves to play him. I'm out on Hovland. I think he's a fade. I think you pivot to Scotty Scheffler, who just missed the cut and ticked off about 18% of people, or you just go ahead and eat the chalk and play Sung J M again because he makes cuts. So I'm not in on Hovland.
Well, see, this is where I differ from you, and this is the thing. This is where you got to have a little bit of a short memory when it comes to golf, which is very important. If you play DFS golf, you have to have a short memory. You just mentioned a guy like Scotty Scheffler coming off a miscut, and a guy that you might get back on this week. And I think you could actually make the same. You could take the same theory with Victor Hovland. I mean, we talked about Victor Hovland last year as being the best of these young guys, the Colin Morikawas, the Matthew Wolffs, the whatever you want to talk about. I mean, and I still think he fits in that category. So to throw him out all of a sudden, based off of what you're talking about in just the last few weeks, it makes no sense whatsoever. The guy's a great ball striker. I mean, you look across the board, ball striking number 1 in this field, and this is going over the last 24 rounds. Number 1 off the tee, 2nd in strokes gained approach, 2nd in proximity. He's checks a box in driving distance. I mean, across the board, Victor Hovland is definitely a guy that you want to play. And at 8,400, here's where it matters. In the fall, he was priced much higher than he is right now. Okay?
True.
So we've gotten a price discount. So for one, we've got that price discount, and we've got a guy that is look, we saw him at the Masters play incredibly well. This is just, at the US Open, he played incredibly well. This is not a guy that's just like, a fly-by-night golfer that, everybody should just jump off of all of a sudden because we've seen Colin Morikawa do great lately. We've seen Matthew Wolff recently on the PGA Tour. Just because he's out of sight, out of mind the last few weeks doesn't mean you need to jump off of him. Look, I was off of him when his price was as high as it was in the fall. But if you're going to get him at 8,400, Yeah, you play him.
Well, we'll just have to see how many people talk
Victor
him
Hovland.
up. We'll have to see how many people talk him up. So, I mean,
He's going to be low owned. I think he's going to be low owned.
All right, let's hit some DraftKings sportsbook plays. Pat, who you like on old DK sportsbook this week?
All right, so I'm going to give you a few plays here. I'm going to start with the guys to win, and then I'll go with some top 5 plays that I like. But starting off at the lowest end, so the guy with the shortest odds, I like some Xander Schauffele at 18-1. I think those are good odds there. Bet a little bit more on that. I like Sungjae M at 40-1. I like Daniel Berger at 71. He's another guy that I liked as far as DK is concerned. I like Matthew Wolff at 70-1.
Wolf.
A long shot who comes out of nowhere for me, but I think he's just a sneaky play this week at 160-1, and that is Sung Kang. We saw him kind of jump up in the field last week at the Farmers Insurance. I don't think he did that great on Sunday, but he was up there on Saturday, so I do like some Sung Kang at 160-1. A few guys to finish top 5 that I think could be interesting. Dylan Fratelli at 33-1. Also, I like some Kiradek Afi Barnrat at 50-1 to finish on the top 5. I think that is a good play. Seabass, the guy we've had on the show, Sebastian Kapelin at 60-1. I like him as well. Kaplan, sorry, at 60-1. And then Patrick Rogers at 45-1.
Okay.
Go look at Patrick Rogers' last 3 or 4
yeah,
events.
I know.
He's been playing very good.
never get him right, ever. All right, so a couple of points of agreement. I do have Sebastian Kaplan, but I'm going to go ahead and throw an outright on him at 300-1 on DK Sportsbook. He's been on the first page of the leaderboard the last 2 weeks. He's an aggressive young kid. I think he'll embrace this atmosphere. I think we've seen first-time winners win here before. I think Kaplan can do that at 300-1. That's a lovely number. But I also like your top 5 number. Kiradek, I also like that top 5 number, but I've got him in the outright, 250-1. Great putter, plays well in events like this. If he hits some greens, he's deadly. He's played in big tournaments before. This is not going to be too big for him. I think he'll also love the atmosphere here. I also have some Daniel Berger at 70-1. Love Berger at that number. I've been riding him the last couple weeks. My shortest odds guy is Scotty Scheffler. I'm bouncing back on Scotty Scheffler. Now that we're off Poana putting surfaces, I like Scotty here in a Bermuda, more bent grass approach. Love the scoring abilities of him. He's primed and ready to win on the PGA Tour at 55-1. Corey Connors, a guy that I've always loved, the Canadian ball striking phenom. God help him putting, but he'll hit some greens, and that's what that you got to start there. You got to get on the green. Corey Connors can do that, 90-1. He's already won on the PGA Tour before. Lanto Griffin, 175-1, young guy, bomber, won on the PGA Tour in the fall. Missed his last cut, but before that, couple top 10s, top 15s, I think. Lanto's playing well, great guy. Will embrace this atmosphere. And my only top 5 is Scott Harrington. Top 5 at 70-1. Corn Ferry Tour grad, hits it a long way. Very aggressive, can score on par 5s, can take advantage of his length here at this golf course with the rough that's not very penal, really. So Scott Harrington, top 5. But yeah, a lot of agreement in the sports book arena. I would definitely play a couple of your top 5s, but also maybe have an outright on them for a half unit or so, if you know what I mean. So there you go. That is a Waste Management Phoenix Open from lovely Scottsdale, Arizona. This has been Tour Junkies After Dark presented by DraftKings, I'm pretty sure. We'll be back every week right here on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Give us a comment. Head over to our YouTube channel, Tour Junkies YouTube channel, where our podcast is live every week. You can watch there. And we do a bunch of other fun stuff. So there you go. May your screens be green on DraftKings, because that'll make for a great weekend. Super Bowl weekend. See you.